and welcome to the Court of the Deadstream. We've got a very exciting show for you today. Some amazing enthusiastic artists that are going to join us and inspire you for spring. We've got a surprise painter. Well, it was a little surprise for Tom that we'll be showing you. And Chie Izuma, one of Sideshow's very own painters, is going to join us to talk a little bit about the Aspects of Death quarter-scale mask set, which she painted. We'll take a closer look at that. But before we jump into those segments, factions! It's time for the next installment of the Underworld games! If you haven't already, join your faction Facebook group so you can root along on the inside with the rest of your faction, and you can check those out at court.bz/FB Factions. That's court.bz FB Factions. I've got a representative for each of the factions here today. I've got Eric with Flesh, Victoria with Bone, the best faction, and Bree with Spirit. We're going to be playing a Court of the Dead version of Wits and Wagers today, which I'll explain in just a minute. But all the points that you win, you'll be winning for your team, but the winner is going to get double points for their faction. So there's a nice little tasty surprise there at the end for our winner. So Wits and Wagers is a really fun trivia betting game. I'll be asking you 8 rounds. We're going to do 8 trivia questions. They all have numerical answers. You're all going to answer them in the blind, and then we will spread your answers out here on the table in ascending or descending order. The longer the spread gets, the better the payoff is. Each player has 2 different betting chips. You can bet on your answer or on someone else's. So you can also throw in a wrong answer there if you want to try and throw off some other people, or if you think someone might get that right answer. You want to get the closest answer without going over. So are you ready?
Ready.
Ready. Let's do this. Okay, our first question is, how many arms does Demethyl have? I'll tell you, it's more than 1. Oh, I should have a timer going. You get a little bonus seconds on this first round there. You get 1 minute to answer, but if everyone is if everyone is done for ahead of time, we can reveal. So when you're done, put your answer face down in front of you, so I know you're ready to rock.
My bad.
Spirit was pretty quick on that. You should be, right? Aglaveil's Spirit faction. It's your guy. Oh, wait, it's Demethyl.
It's Demethyl, yes.
I may have just previewed another question with that slip.
I was pretty positive, but we'll see.
All right, good job, guys. All right, let's see what we've got here. We've got a 5, a 6, and a 4. Ooh. So these are going to go this way in ascending order. So you've got your 2 betting coins. You can double down on one, or you can split them if you want. But place your bets. How many arms do you think he has? 4, 5, or 6? Closest without going over.
I'm betting on myself.
Me too.
All right. And the answer is 4. Way to go,
coming for Team
Spirit. That was awesome. So, Bree, that pays 1 to 1, and you put both your chips in.
Yes. 2 big ones.
It's 2 big ones,
You're
1
gonna
little
get
one, and like
2.
a medium-sized one.
Actually, it's 1 on his left and then 3 on his
is it
right.
3? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got
he's tricky.
1 for Bone.
Dang it.
Oops. 1 for Bone, 2 for Spirit, and none for Flesh. And the Rise of the Reaper General novel, which will be coming out next year, actually tells the origin story of Demethyl's arms, because one of them is really short and creepy and red and burnt. And so there's a really good story
Nice plug.
behind that. That's what we do. All right, round 2. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right.
Catch up.
This is a difficult one. I had to go count this up myself. How many dots are in the Queen's tattoos? As we all know, Queen Gethsemane is highly tattooed, and some of her tattoos are like freckle dots. How many do you think she has over her body?
Whole body?
The entire body?
Mm-hmm. Face, chest, back, arms, and butt. They're everywhere, really.
Wow. Okay.
Take a wild guess, people.
How much time do we got?
Can you give us a
You get a
hint?
minute. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Is it like.
I'm just mentally thinking of a butt now.
A butt with polka dot tattoos on it.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, the cosplayer had a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Miss Chrissy
And
Lynn
I
did a
did
lovely job as Queen Gethsemane. In fact, she actually got the Queen's tattoo on her back.
Yeah, she did the tattoo on her back.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact too, that tattoo changes, but the dots do not.
Why is that?
I don't know, our Queen is a precocious woman. She's fickle about some things and steadfast in others. All right, wow, you guys just made it there under the wire. All right, let's see. We've got a 10, a 36, and a 32. All right. Another ascending order there. All right, the closest without going over.
I'm gonna split it this time. Come on, Bree.
She's trying to read the answer in my eyes. The Queen
I myself.
has 66, of course, polka dots on her face, trailing up her arms, across her derriere, yeah, and around her back. 66. So, Bone, 3-1. Bone's gonna get 3 points, and everybody else.
I feel like this is rigged against Flesh. Every time we do Court of the Dead games.
I don't know, Flesh. Maybe games just aren't really your strong suit as a faction. I mean, you
I
guys
spent
are
days staring at Christy,
steadfast,
so
you know.
I'm just, I might have had a leg up.
Okay. Here we go. You ready for the next one?
No.
Do this.
I am ready.
Bam.
How many types of reapers are there?
Why? Why do you ask me these things?
Have you been reading your chronicle, ladies and gentlemen?
I have been.
It's in there. This one's in there.
I'm just trying to think of every time Tom's invented so many Reapers. I can't even keep track.
Yes, but there's a pretty set number. There is a set number in
Okay,
the chronicle, and everything else is a
That's
subset
fair.
thereof. So
It's just, the lore is so deep.
it is. Well, Demethyl is a certain type. Poxel's another type.
I already put my answer.
Think through our figures. Different types. All those different types of.
Gentler this time.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
The table.
I really have no idea. I'm sorry, Team Spirit.
We're getting close
I'm
to.
guessing.
Okay. Good job. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. A 4, and a 5.
Was it almost a
Very good
4?
looking 5.
All right. The closest without going over. I'm going to just put these here. So.
Right, we get a minute to choose.
The answer is 3.
Oh my god.
Oh, sorry, folks.
I should have had my first answer.
Shucks.
That round's a bust. Yeah, there's Mortis Knights, Mortisons. You've got Valestrodes like Yellowbarb and Scourgers like Poxel are the 3 main.
Oh my gosh.
3 main
I gotta
types
reread
of
my chronicle.
Reapers there. I know. If Tom is watching, he's gonna be very
Available on
disappointed.
Sideshow.com/chronicle.
I needed a short link there. Okay, this is one that everyone should get, I hope. Okay, how many faction leaders are there?
Well, that's a tricky question.
You're trying to get into my head.
But I can only give one answer.
Trying to think like if it's a trick
Oh
question.
wait, at one time,
What?
in total, in history, or at one time, any given moment?
In total in history.
Oh wait, what about
No, you put your card down.
It's down. It's left your hand.
in history? Because what if one has been sent on the long trip?
Oh. Someone knows her history. Okay. Excellent. All right. We've got a 4, and a 3. All right. So, this is a tight one.
This is a tricky question.
Lay your bets,
I don't
faction
know how I feel about
years.
this.
Oh, it's gonna be some like ridiculous other one. I'm gonna get it totally wrong again.
And the answer is
Yes! Okay.
Xyle, because Singvath, her brother, who, good on you for, I'll give you a bonus point for nodding to Singvath, because that was some like deep history right there.
Thank you.
But technically, he mysteriously went on a long trip before the faction was like officially founded. Again, Rise of the Reaper General will discuss that story, which is pretty exciting. So Xyle is leader of Bone, Gethsemane of Flesh, and Spirit actually has two leaders. Elianastus and Kier is the de facto leader. She kind of steps up to that. So Ms. Victoria is going to get 4 points, which is awesome. Bone just killing it with trivia. Hang in there, the rest of you. Give Spirit a bonus point there. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. All right. Oh, here's another fun one. How many arms are in Aglavale's arm beard? So his arm beard is affectionately, if you look at Aglavale, he has from the tip of his chin to say mid-chest a certain cravat of appendages. Some that have single jointed fingers, some that have full hands, some that have something in between the two. There's a certain number of these appendages.
So this is on the statue, right? Okay. Because some artists depict it as even more.
Correct. We'll go with the statue, which the collectible is sort of the official.
I know, this is like guessing how many Skittles are in a jar.
Template. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Get that timer going.
Arm beard.
You don't want to get caught in Aglavale's embrace.
Will I be surprised? Will I be surprised by this number?
You might be. I don't know.
Okay. Let's say
Aglavale's arm beard. Bearding it up. He's a dapper gent.
Okay.
All right. What have
no
we
faith
got?
in my answer.
Got an 18, a 12, and a 2. Wow. All across the board.
I do.
All right.
You're doing the prices right and putting
Yep.
like a dollar.
Closest without going over. All right. Contestants, lay your bets.
I have to get at least
I'm
1
so
point.
nervous.
I need to end this game with 1 point.
Oh. 12. So I think you are going to get a point.
Yes.
Yeah?
Holy crap.
Not even for my own answer.
Holy crap.
We've got a flesh and a bone there.
Yeah.
Nice
I should
job.
double down.
Yeah. You had it, and you had it right out of the
Do you
gate.
know what I just
So that's
realized?
great.
I'm secretly wearing a shirt.
Oh my god! Although that's technically an artist's
It's
interpretation, so no.
True.
longer,
It's
but-
not even my faction. I feel like I'm failing at flesh so much. I should just go
Alright.
over to spirit.
Flesh gets 2 points. Bone gets 2 points. Well done. Oops. Timer is just going.
I just like throwing the cards.
All right.
Ready. I'm on the board.
Moving right along. We're going to move into some lore here. What is the temperature in hell? Degrees in Fahrenheit, please.
What?
Celsius, so much easier.
This is in the book?
It's a lore question. It's not in the book per se.
At what
but
temperature does
there
hell freeze over,
is
too?
There's a certain factoid about hell that if you happen to know it will inform your
Fahrenheit. Oh, I'm gonna guess.
tricky one.
Oh.
Or is it? All right. Oh, was quick. That was good.
If this isn't what it is, I'm gonna be so mad.
666.
So good.
Oh dear.
I did the same thing.
Oh.
But yours looks prettier than
Alright.
mine.
Very, very creative. Very creative. All right, lay your bets, folks.
I don't even care if I don't get points. I just want this to be real. And if it's not, Tom better make it that.
The answer is 20 degrees.
What?
Yeah. So it's actually quite cold in hell and scorching hot in heaven because, you know, we don't go in for
It's true.
typicalness here in the Court of the Dead. So Ms. Victoria will be getting 1 point for that. Woo,
20
go
degrees?
Bones. Yeah.
You have to wear like
very
an
cold.
Eskimo.
Wait, I thought it was you had to get under the score.
Close without going over. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Trying to
Yeah.
worm some points in there for your faction.
Just keeping me honest.
Ah, should have
You
gone
know,
lower.
Blair, yeah. Oh, yes, it's quite. The takeaway is it's quite cold in hell.
Oh, thank you.
Right. Oh, another lore-based one. This one can be a little tricky too. How many realms are there in the Court of the Dead universe?
Realms.
Realms.
Mm.
How many planes of existence?
That didn't help me.
Oh. Also in the Chronicle. You guys are quick.
There's a lot of writing going
I
on.
know. You drawing a little diagram of the universe there, bud?
Yeah. Did you call me Bud?
All right, let's see what we got. 3.5. Interesting. That's interesting. 5 and 4. Ooh, a good spread here. All right.
You don't know about that half realm.
I'm closest without going over.
If it's 3, I'm gonna be so mad.
Oh, 1 second. Let me check my trivia here. Ready? And the answer is 4! This was a tricky one because technically heaven and hell count as one realm. There's the celestial realm. Then you have the underworld, the mortal realm, and the realm of true spirit. So, well done.
Excellent.
What was that point
Oh,
spread?
sorry, I had 1 on 4.
You
I
had
have
one
both
on
of mine on 4.
You had both. Awesome.
I think I should get a creativity point. Maybe like a half a point.
A pity point.
Pity, yeah, okay.
Okay. Last one, you guys.
I knew it!
I knew that was gonna happen.
Vietnam flashbacks.
Did you notice I color coordinated your cards to your faction too? I gave the pink one to Flash, the chartreuse to Bone, and the blue to
I
Spirit.
did
I
notice.
was pretty happy. I was able to find that in the work.
I ran around the office to find those note
It's
cards.
very important. Yes. Very, very important. Okay, last one, a little bit of an out of world. How many books are there in the Court of the Dead library? So how many books have we published so far?
Books for reading?
Like books.
Or...
Wait,
books.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent question.
wait, out of universe.
Out of universe, how
How many
many
have we
Court of the Dead
published?
books are there that we've published? Yes,
Okay.
yes,
They meant in the world where they go to the library.
Oh, no.
That's
No,
like
that would be like, how many books are
infinite.
there in Alien Estes'
I
library?
think you're
That
missing
would
a
be enough.
point for Team Spirit. No, card.
Does a
I am.
comic book count?
Oh,
What about
It's a book, right?
what about
We got 2 last
San Diego
time.
one-offs?
oh, yeah, I think I gave it to Flesh instead of Spirit. That's not right, because Eric only has 3, so you would have
Defender
4.
of the points right now.
1, 2, 3, 4. Then I would subtract 4
I
from
wasn't
Eric,
mad
so
about it.
6,
I was.
Sorry, I have not had enough coffee this morning. Nope, that's okay. Even that back out.
Thank you.
Throw that question at me one more time.
How many books have we published
Okay.
so far?
What about, do one-off comics count?
Well, no, books.
Like book,
Because
okay.
we've collected all the one-off comics we did in a book, so you know we've done at
Okay.
least one. But how many more have we done? Dun dun dun. We've mentioned at least one other throughout this game.
But that one doesn't count. Wait, never mind. Ignore me.
3.0125. 7, and 5. All right, this is a weird one.
I'm confused now. I thought it was
That's a
Comic
secret book that we
Books?
published
not book.
The secret book.
that we never finished. We only got that far into it.
There are
Books
so
with
many.
literature or just
We're about
books
that
that say
far,
Court of the Dead?
Okay.
There's quite a few. All right, last chance to bet. Get those points.
Oh, tough. Okay.
I'm quite positive, so.
Go small or go home.
Bree is right to be positive. We've done 5
you.
books. Well done. Sorry, Eric.
I piggyback off your success.
Well done. Do you think you can name them?
I can name them. Are you ready?
Yes.
I can name them in order.
Whoa!
Do it.
The Chronicle of the Underworld, Grave Tales, Memento Mori, the Sketchbook, Shadows of the Underworld. I don't know the formal name of the sketchbook, but that's all 5.
That's it. Yay! Well done. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so 4 points to Spirit and 4 points to Bone. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And our final scores are 16 for Bone, 2 for Flesh, and 11 for Spirit. So we will double that and get 32 for Bone.
Yes!
Woo!
So exciting.
But you came very close. You
Thank
put up a
you.
good fight, and
I should have piggybacked off your success.
I got a pat. Oh my god.
you did good. You tried really hard.
Pity faction.
Oh no, there is no pity in the underworld.
Too true.
Thank you, Eric, Victoria, and Bree, for joining us. This was amazing. Thank you so much. Well done, everyone. We will update those house faction scores soon. And now, let's lighten things up a little bit. Bring everyone back together. And who better to do that than Malavestros? So stay tuned. We're going to show you a little Malavestros surprise. All right, we've got a special guest in the studio with us today, the amazingly talented mad genius, Rob Pryor. Thank you for joining us. We first discovered you at a comic convention not too long ago.
It's like deja vu.
It is. It's a dream. It's a dream come true.
Reliving
Deja vu.
Groundhog interview.
We were like Pepe Le Pew in one of those old Looney Tunes cartoons, but instead of following some perfume, we were following some heavy metal music riffs. And they led us to your booth where you were painting, and it was you in front of a giant canvas painting with both hands at the same time with your eyes closed, which is unbelievable to behold. So please, tell us a little bit about your process. It's so unique. I've never seen anyone paint this way before. It's mesmerizing.
Take 4. I've been painting since I was very little. My parents raised me to be an artist. I don't know any other way, and
So they were like, close your eyes, we're going to put this blindfold on you, son, and put a paintbrush in each
Well,
hand.
they actually they did. That's how they went out. They would leave me there for hours, and they were like, just you keep drawing, honey, and
I
we'll
got
be back.
blindfolded. I just got a lawnmower. I got rooked.
So did you cycle through a bunch of different ways of painting and just happened upon this as the most comfortable?
No, it was the
It's
most
so
comfortable,
casual.
blindfolded, tied up, usually hanging by my feet on a rope.
Wait, we're not to that part of the interview yet.
Lots of animals shaved. What? What happened was my entire family line were artists or are artists, and not one of them made it my profession. So my grandfather went to my parents and said, "I'll pay for college if he's an artist," before I was born.
Wow.
And so there are 8mm videos because that's what happened then. Get out the film.
8mm.
So of them like lightly taking a crayon, taking some yarn, putting it, and teach. Before I could walk, they were
Yarn. Like tied it to your hand with yarn.
Yeah, it's not child abuse. They put it there with a
No,
spike.
I'm taking notes. I've got it 30
Intentions, that's all that counts, right?
Tie it to the hand with the yarn.
So, and I was born right-handed, and so I only knew that. So when I got to be about 10 years old, I thought the same thing that every 10-year-old thinks, and that is, what if I lose my right hand?
Yeah, typical thought. I think about that every morning when I wake up. Good thing I'm a lefty.
What
No,
if,
but so you were worried
what
about
if I
losing a
lose
hand
my
as a
frontal
10-year-old.
lobe? How can I fix that? So I switched to be a left-handed, and I literally switched everything. I switched playing guitar, I switched football, I switched baseball,
Which is not an easy
everything.
thing to do.
Yeah, my grades were going, and my parents were like, just go back, and I was like, no. So for 2 years, I refused to use my right hand as my dominant hand.
That is amazing stubbornness.
It was, stupidity, stubbornness. Hand
Hand in hand.
in hand. I mean,
Genius. It's a fine line.
So when I got to be about, I was published at 13, internationally published at 15. So
Wow.
somewhere in between that, I had math homework and a painting due. And I was like, I just picked up 2 brushes and I was like, oh, I could do this. And I realized then I could actually do my math homework and paint simultaneously.
Wow.
And I can paint 2 paintings at one time.
So you're self-trained ambidextrous.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know how
sheer
anybody
force
paints
of
with one
will.
hand. I just don't understand. It doesn't even comprehend.
So
here.
where does the closing the eyes come in then? Because
That is a great question because I didn't actually know that I did it. In fact, like my whole life, I don't know if people were just afraid to tell me or what. Finally, my wife, she goes, "Why do you shut your eyes?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And so I was at a, I don't
Is
know
your
where-
vision okay? You're not like Daredevil. How many fingers am I holding? Is it-
12. I can't count. I'm an artist. Come on, I can barely tie my own
Didn't
shoes.
mention math homework.
It's true. 1 plus, and that's me now.
So you've probably always closed your eyes and just never even realized.
Never even realized it. And the louder the music, or louder the music, the longer it's like, I guess is my only form of meditation is crank up the music really, really loud and just go.
So how does it feel? Like, put us in your head. Are you picturing in your mind?
God,
eyes?
no one wants to be there.
Jump in.
Jump in.
What do we wear?
Okay, I
Well,
like Boris Thompson. I like Ren and Stimpy. Take us there.
You wear a tutu carrying a green chameleon.
Like, do you picture the painting in your mind's eye and your hands?
I must, because I don't
conducting the orchestra.
I don't
there?
ever
Like,
think I'm shutting my eyes. So I would imagine that I don't stop seeing it. I don't ever stop seeing it in my head. So, and I know if I'm painting 2 paintings and I'm doing this, I can see both of my hands perfectly. So I'm actually looking at both.
Huh.
And then a lot of times I'll do this and I'll pop over here and I'll switch. Just sort of depends. It depends on the music.
Incredible. Let's talk a little bit about the music, because that's obviously we discovered you through some heavy metal, but you paint to all different kinds of
I
music.
do paint to all different types.
Does that affect the painting? What's the relationship there between sort of the
I
subject
think it does.
matter, the
I mean,
music?
I'm sure my apprentices can probably answer that question better than I could. But I think it does. Obviously, if it's classical or something like that, it's it's a lot slower. But if I'm doing a playlist for if I'm at a convention or if I'm doing something live that isn't with a band.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with a couple of very slow songs to build into it, and then by the end it's just mayhem, just as loud and crazy as it can be.
So when you're building a playlist,
Yeah.
I was going to say, let's get back to the playlist. So if you're working on a specific character, do you hear music in your head and then you pick that music to play when you paint?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
you
think
kinda,
so.
like,
And if
match
it's
the tune.
something, that's dark and sort of, just dark and, manic or, some crazy feeling to the character, then I'll just crank louder music, louder, faster, harder. I like a lot of rap, but I don't like the hip hop rap. I like it heavy.
Just hardcore.
Yeah, anything that invokes emotion, I think is really
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Because
It's very primal.
if it invokes an emotion, then then I think or a memory or something that'll get you to a spot, then that's it.
Get that.
I have some weird
I don't
shit on my
understand
playlist that literally you'd be like, what in the fuck is he listening to?
You're gonna give Tom
an eclectic
ideas.
music too. Well, I love film scores.
Oh,
in
yeah.
that regard too. So,
absolutely.
ones there was an emotional moment in a film, or there was something super dramatically sweeping about it, or any number of other things that like, okay, there's certain tracks that just lock in that become kind of keys to the kingdom, kind of pieces,
that's exactly
and you turn it on and it just starts the gearing rolling. So.
Yep, and I sort of have to let it build, just like we were talking earlier about you sort of work on it until it clicks in, and then once you're in, and for me it's usually a beat. I think once you're in, you can just go crazy and do all kinds of things and shut your eyes and paint, and dance in a tutu. With a monkey and an orgy rider.
Speaking of performers, you've worked on stage with a lot of different famous musicians and bands. Do you want to share with us a few that you've had the
Linkin Park. Linkin Park was fantastic. My favorite is Tech Nine, one of my dearest friends in the world. He's actually who got me started painting on stage.
Oh yeah.
Here's the quick story. Sorry, folks at home, I'm going to bore you for a second. Which camera? I had went and painted at what the place. Strange Music is their name of their company, the largest independent rap company, hip hop company in the world. And I went there and I did a painting and a book for them, and I painted in front of like the staff and everybody. So he called me and he was like, "Why don't you come paint on stage?" I was like, "No, I'm good." I want to say 3 months, every other week, I'd get a call. Why don't you paint on stage? And finally he goes, all right. I never asked why. And I was like, I have stage fright. I don't want to go out there. And he goes, dude, don't worry about it. Lights will be in your eyes. Fucking lied. He just straight out lied to me. I walked out on stage thinking I wasn't going to see anybody, and all I could see was this Charlie Brown moment of like large heads, wop, wop, wop. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm
all
thinking,
those lighters are
yes, it's like, oh. And the crowd was, that first one was 13,000 people.
Whoa.
And I was like, I am going to apologize to him. I'm going to grab a bottle of whiskey. I'm going to go cry in the corner. And that's it. He's my friend. He'll understand. And I turn around and there's my wife.
Yeah, this is my way out.
And I'm like, face the crowd or face my wife. I picked the crowd.
And probably the safest.
It was. And that was it. That was the sort of the start of it. I still get, like, before I go on stage, I am like ready to throw up every single time.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, yeah. But it was Tech Nine. Tech Nine, Flow Rider, Jay-Z.
Wow.
Hell yeah! I don't know if you know who Mudvayne. You ever listen to Mud? Oh my God, we gotta
all
talk.
right.
We gotta trade some music.
Exchange action.
Yeah. Tom's got a Court of the Dead playlist. I'll have to share with you.
One more story is I during when I'm painting on stage, in my rider literally it says he has to have 6 beers. Laid out.
Does it specify what kind of beer?
I was gonna say, are they all the same?
No. Well, one time I usually do like Coronas because you can drink 100 of them and it's okay. But one time they put like 11-point beer out there,
wow.
and I'm like, why? What?
What's happening?
But I went on stage and it was the very first time I was televised, and
televised live.
Televised live, Live Nation, I think it was. And I was already nervous, and it was, Pantera, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Vinny was part of the band. Was part of this band called Hell Yeah. And he was like, drink. And I was like, okay, I'll drink. And then he was like, smoke. And I was like, I don't before a show.
It's technically during a show.
It was during a show, yeah. And
Pantera.
To say no to him was really tough because he would just be like, no, you will. And I'm like, you're a big guy.
Not really a question.
Yeah,
really.
that's
a
more of a
command.
command.
And so I went out there completely shit-faced and moving like really slow.
Dear.
For the first 45 minutes, and normally in 45 minutes, I'm practically done, or whatever. I'm on one little spot going, I'm on television. This will be the first time I don't finish the painting. And I've got like this little area painted, and I'm like, and finally, like during it, you can watch, like if you watch it, you're like, and I start going, like about 45 minutes in, I'm like, okay, all right, good.
The buzz catches up.
Yeah,
with
it was,
Right.
finally I was like, all right, but I finished, and you know, I don't know how good it was, but I finished. It's like, there's your most abstract
Done.
piece. And then I ran. And here's what? But yeah, so that's there. I digress. Please go ahead.
Let's switch gears and talk about your subject matter. So we found you at a Comic-Con, and I know you are inspired by comic books. And tell us a little bit about your history with comics and kind of some of the pop culture.
I used to work in comics. It's how I hide a chicken head in every piece that I do, and it's because of because
a chicken head.
I hide a chicken head. Yes.
Why a chicken head?
Okay. I won't name the company or the person, Todd McFarlane. That I was working on this book called Spawn the Impaler. It was Mike Grell, who was another artist, and myself. And so I was painting this book. It was horribly done. Anybody that goes out there and finds it, I'm sorry.
Oh no.
But he called me up and he goes, Pryor, I want to hire you to do my 3-issue series, but I know you hide things. So if you hide anything, I'm going to fire you. And I was like, dude, what would I do? Hide a chicken head in every page? So I did. And
he basically dared you.
It's all in a dare, right?
It really was. In the second issue, there's a double splash page. You turn the whole book like this. It's a giant chicken head.
Oh my god.
Third issue,
We
he
have to go
calls me
find
up.
this.
And he goes, I'd fire you right now, but I'm too busy looking for your chicken heads. Click. And then it was just born from there. Had I known a chicken head was going to stick with my fans, I'd have picked something way cooler than a chicken head.
Trolling Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, that was it. And
phenomenal.
And it's funny because I wanted something cooler than the chicken head. I tried hiding other things, and like my fans would be like, "No, we want the chicken head."
I thought maybe it was like Geek biting off the chicken head.
No.
Sideshow circus.
Way too literal.
Yeah, it's way too literal. No, it's nothing that cool. And but with the chicken head, I was like, God, I wish I picked something way cooler. My wife is like, no, it fits you. And I'm like, honey, that's not a compliment.
Yeah, I'm not sure
it's really not a compliment. Thanks, though.
I like your wife. She keeps you on task.
She does.
Grounded.
Oh, she does.
A good partner.
But subject matter. I like the darker side of things. Like I like villains, anti-heroes and stuff like that. I do a lot of painting, for like Lucasfilms and whatnot, and I prefer to do the darker sides of things.
This explains your attraction to Court of the Dead.
Well, yeah, the Court of the Dead is. I mean, yes, you look at it, and your very first thought isn't rainbows and bunnies, so it's perfect. I don't know, it could be. Rainbows and bunnies, undead
Things
bunnies.
to hide in the paintings.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We'll get to Court of the Dead in a second. But before we do, you have an exhibition coming up here in LA.
I do.
Theater.
I do.
Tell us
It's
a little bit about that.
It's actually where I will present the first 6 to 8. I'm not sure. We haven't figured out the exact number just yet. Paintings of a Stan Lee gallery show that I'm doing.
Oh, nice.
I was working with Stan on doing this. He was signing them, and it was literally the last thing that he was doing.
Wow.
So instead of not doing it, to commemorate him, I'm going to go ahead and I'm finishing up the gallery show. The gallery show itself won't be until April, but this at his memorial. And it's it's going to be a fun event because that's what he wanted.
Sure.
Yeah. And
Celebration.
and I know Kevin Smith is hosting. I'm going to do a live painting there.
Oh, super cool.
And I'll have some of the paintings.
Right.
And the paintings are huge.
Can't
This
wait to
painting
see
is small, really small in comparison to probably most of the paintings. Some of them are 8, 9 foot tall. By 5.5 foot
That's
wide.
like a wall. You're
Yeah.
painting walls. That's
I'm painting
not a canvas
walls.
at that point.
You know.
You're a muralist.
I'm painting them,
Wow.
really, really small brushes. It takes me 14 years per painting. Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm really fast. I'm like lightning
Really?
fast.
Chuck Close here in the
Yeah, it's
theater.
Yeah, I did my one stroke.
Push
All right,
the
time to go
deadline
home.
way out.
I've been working on this for about 422 years.
See, but you had me because your process in and of itself is just so unbelievable. I'd be like, yeah, no, sure, take 14 years on a painting.
Yeah, I put paintbrushes on my elbows.
I would not be surprised.
All right, so another quick story.
Yes,
Forgive
please,
me, but
please.
I had blown a tendon in my left arm, and I thought, well, I'm ambidextrous, I can do it. I don't know how anybody paints with one hand because I was like, yeah. So I bought these brushes and I cut the tips off and I started tying tape around it so I could try and get paint like on my fingers like this. It didn't work.
Oh,
That was it. That's my story.
that's fascinating.
Okay, I'm
now.
out.
I want to see a picture of that. Okay, well, let's switch gears to talk about Court of the Dead. But before we do, we're going to take a short video break because we actually have a video of the making of,
Good, I have to
the
go to the
Malvestrous
bathroom.
painting.
Yeah.
You
Am I
can run
supposed to
the
say that
bathroom.
live?
You can.
Or not?
But I need you guys to help me and we're going to do some magic hands as our transition out. The
Is that
video
it? No.
magic. So
Magic hands?
That's
magic
not work.
hands. You know, like Wayne and Garth style. So
Okay.
like
Got it,
doodly-doo,
alright.
doodly-doo,
Okay.
doodly-doo. Come on.
You lead. We'll
Help
go.
me. I'm doing it.
Doodly-doo,
Here goes the video. We'll be back.
Whoa! What's going on here?
Hi, Rob. How are you?
Well, meet Tom.
Tom.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
Pleasure to meet you, brother.
Pleasure indeed. I have to say that they showed me all the Court of the Dead stuff, and it's fucking dope.
Thank
so,
you.
I mean,
Well, it struck a chord, clearly, yeah?
it did. Yeah, so I ended up doing you a painting.
You gotta be kidding me. Holy smokes.
That's one hell of a painting. Welcome back. So you've seen the video of the making of and the surprise unveiling. Tom, you had no idea that this was happening, did you?
Not in the least. So
We managed to keep it a secret.
Yeah. Well, I get called around the campus all the time, so I'm always kind of ready for
The toilets are
for
broken.
something or whatever.
The toilets are broken on fourth floor.
This is on fire. Fix this. So I had no idea what was going on. I completely caught flat-footed here. So, but I walked through the door and this gent Rob was standing there, and I'm like, well, this must be something. All the cameras were pointed at me, and I'm like, okay, I'm clearly the hit on this one. But then across the thing that dominated the room was this Malvestrous painting that is just
Amazing.
blasting to life, and this. What just struck me immediately. I mean, I'm a painter as well. I'm a 3D painter. I marvel at what folks can do on a 2D canvas.
That's okay.
For whatever reason, I
I'm
can't
all over what you can do on a
dimensionalize into that.
on 3D. So,
But to me, it's the technical brilliance of stuff is fascinating. But to me, the raw alchemy is always kind of what catches me or whatnot. So. I mean, I love when I see art that's kind of in process, the pencil roughs leading towards the final, because it's like the energy is just alive and palpable then. And this piece was just, I mean, it's just coming off the canvas in that regard. And I love just the, letting the dripping just run down the canvas and say its own thing. And I don't know, it's also been described as a kind of lost and found element of like, well, what's in there or whatnot. And I think that just creates an engagement for the viewer to kind of see what you've projected, but also to like, what is that emotionally triggering and what are you starting to see in that? And I think that it just gave me this experience that like kind of took me to Ilvernus and the Underworld, like right there and then, which is great because Malavestos is the concierge of the Underworld. So for that experience was just right in the center bullseye ring, brother.
Man, thank you so much, man.
What made you pick Malavestros? And tell us a little bit about your history of the Court of the Dead and kind of how you came to choose this character.
I was being taken on a tour of Sideshow, and we came into this room with all of the Court of the Dead, and I was like, holy fuck, this is awesome. and I spent the most time because I'm sitting here going, oh, this is great, I like the devious character, the Joker or whatever, and
the cheeky troublemaker.
It sort of just struck me as all right, this is the one. This is cool. And
awesome.
And that was it. I was like literally sold on Court of the Dead. Like as I walked in the room, I'm like, oh,
and you
this
guys
is
didn't
my place.
You didn't get a chance to meet on that tour, did you?
No,
no. I don't know where I was that day. Which
it's very cool because this entire.
That's okay. I don't know where I am most of the time. It's perfect.
But to get the opportunity to come back though and have Rob kind of meet in the middle here was pretty stunning.
Oh, it's awesome. The two of you have been able to kind of communicate both through your artwork, really. It's been like
yeah, well, and also in between the takes, we're gabbing away like
it's true.
We're hanging in the bar here.
Save it for the camera, guys.
Bring me the beer.
Getting reined in.
It's time. But yeah, we were just talking about film and the importance of Dungeons and Dragons and
growing up with it and all of that. I think it all plays into.
It's kind of like a blueprint that I think sort of is kind of your fallback or your backstop for when you're creating something. You're trying to bring something new, but you're always influenced, and you can always see those and feel those echoes in folks' work. And I always felt that there was a sort of reverence to that, to people that have touched me. Rob asked me what my favorite film was. It was. Without missing a beat, it's Once Upon a Time in the West. Sergio Leone's it's just a masterpiece film. It's like a painting in motion for 2 hours with the most precious gold in every word of dialogue. You think that every word must have cost them like $1,000 because there are so few, and there does not need to be any more.
Well, Bronson's also just.
Well,
cool.
I mean, yeah, the Eastwood trilogy is is sort of biblical for me. But the something about Once Upon a Time in the West just triggered me. We talked about how it was something in a class for 2D composition. The teacher had sort of
first time you saw
frozen it. Well, we were supposed to be drawing from the opening sequence, and it was a VCR to date myself. So, the pause ran out and the film kept going, and it went to like the opening lines of dialogue where Charles Bronson is facing down 3 guys and just delivers the best line ever, which, Jack Elam, one of the characters that's waiting for him at this train station, looks over his shoulder, sees 3 horses, kind of, Charles Bronson's eyes look over, see 3, there's 4 of them, and Jack Elam kind of smugly says, well, it looks like we're short a horse. And Charles Bronson says, no, you brought 2 too many, and blows them all away. And I was like, that is the most unbelievably badass thing I've ever heard anyone say. And then I went home and I found this film. I don't know where, it was even before Blockbuster or whatever. But anyway, so
I remember
that kind
these
of creates
days.
that language, and these are sort of the foundational blocks that build that. So, when you think about Court of the Dead, for me, it's Batman: The Dark Knight. It's the Punisher War Journal stuff in '83 to '87 that I was really watching. Plus, just very war movies, any number of stuff. Ralph Bakshi animation. So all these things
Good
kind
call.
of contributed to
Yeah.
it, right? So
Most of the kids out there, Ralph. Ooh.
well, and I grew up, and I watched, John Wayne films or whatnot, and I got the hero as like sort of canon fixture, but I was always like, Clint Eastwood seems a little bit more, not so much believable, but like it just touched me a little bit. There was more.
The dark side.
Well, those shades of gray.
It is.
Look, to get the right thing done sometimes takes the wrong action. Or vice versa. And I think that, nowadays we get to see some great films where villains are painted in much deeper and more interesting manners. And in many ways, you often look and say, wow, they actually really do have a point here. And
it's great. Heath Ledger's version of the Joker. I mean, but some of his lines you just sit there and go, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think too, like I have a hard time kind of getting behind the sort of the classic hero that is sort of good by default, by nature, just
Superman.
gets it for free. Superman is a hard character for me to kind of to back. I've come to appreciate the idealism that he represents. But I think that for me, the credibility of it is tough because it's like, well, where's the challenge? Whereas Batman,
I'm completely with you on that.
It's just fighting demons constantly, outward and inwardly in an effort to try and find peace in what he's trying to achieve. And I think that's certainly the All-Taker story in Court of the Dead. He recognizes what he's involved in, his complicence in this cosmic sin, but is dedicated himself to, all right, I will extract this. I will make the difference. I will make the change at whatever cost to myself. That's the redemption he looks for. And I think that was, we do a lot of superhero stuff here at Sideshow, and so and I certainly appreciate it. But it was for me. I was like, if I had to do a comic team or whatnot, the X-Men for me is what Court of the Dead is. The All-Takers, Professor Xavier, and the Court is the X-Men.
So I'm interested to hear from both of you, because obviously you're both inspired by and drawn to complex characters that live in the gray or the darker side. There's a lot of like meaty inspiration in there. But both of your works are so bright and colorful. I mean, if you look at your painting, there's this gorgeous swath of blue and high energy, and you typically associate the darker characters and the darker side of things with, more gothic and tones of gray, but both of you work with a lot of color. Both of you are painters. How do you kind of reconcile the visual with the narrative?
I do. I love that question. Well, I'll jump and then you can. I think the aspect for me in approaching Court with that was that, it's kind of a don't judge the book by its cover. So I mean, I could soak this thing in darkness in every expression that we go, but I think then I'm playing into a stereotype that I'm not really trying to summon. I'm really trying to summon and take a look at the notion of heroism and whatnot, and that it is about tough choices, and sometimes you have made bad choices, and I don't think that discredits you as being able to become the hero in that regard. So I think that in Court of the Dead, the balance I was looking for was to use the most beatific colors to sort of serve as a sort of a kind of a language bumper that would give you the clue that is where the goodness in the story lies, or at least the effort to do so. So the aqua blue green, which is the most vibrant and beautiful color in the property, is the underworld color. It's the color of Etheria. It's the color of creation. And so when you see the underworld characters in paintings and everything else, and it's quite on display here as well, that color comes punching out. So every other color then associated with the Celestials or the Dread script, which is kind of their dark nature, all goes to uglier tones that have been made purposefully to do that, to give you that trigger. So that's kind of where, like for me, where the color kind of came in, and because I was trying to message in that regard.
Yeah, and it's ditto. It's in building a character, if you don't add certain things to that character, you're just seeing one side, and that to me, very much in the Superman regard, it kind of gets boring, and you end up after a couple of issues, you're just like, yeah, okay, that's cool, whatever. But I think when you're adding vibrancy, you're pinpointing things. And you're saying, look at this and understand this, and it helps pull you along. You know, and that's, I like adding a different sort of color, you know, to something that's darker, so it can pinpoint something.
It says something about the character.
Yeah, and on a
draws your
2D
eye.
piece, a lot of times you use it to drag the eye. You know, where a lot of grays or just, you know, all dark colors, it's hard to really move the eye anywhere. And I think the bright colors help to do that. Just, you know, just on a you know, painting theory, you know. But for me, like I said, it builds character.
It's got that narrative element
Yeah.
as well. Let's talk a little bit about physicality as well. I think with 2D, you know, you've got one angle.
I thought you were gonna say,
and
all right, it's time physicality. It's time to do push-ups.
Jumping jack.
Come on, let's go.
No, but I'm interested, since you're both painters and you have such a unique physical way of painting, and then Tom being a painter of 3D objects, which obviously I know you've got your own
A lot of familiar
physical-
things that he
physical challenges
especially in the making of. I
that
was like,
you-
oh my god, I know these moves.
I mean, how does that play into kind of what you're painting and how you paint? Like, where's the line there? Like, how much of a result of what we're seeing is a result of your process, or is it married to the character and its pose, or is there kind of a blurred line there?
Damn, these are all really good questions.
Like, this was going to be an essay test,
I know.
right?
Hold on. Pondering.
We could do it. What's your favorite comic book? We could add that one in there too.
I like me some Shazam. No, it is. It's a bit of a marriage. I think I used to be primarily a photorealist before Photoshop was prevalent. To count, we just banged rocks. But you know, you burn out. It's very much, you know, again, I'm a Superman thing. It just gets flat after a while, and there's no life to it. And so for me, I like mistakes. I like things that add life to it and have a bit of a breath. So, you know, sometimes the crazier it gets, the better it is for me. And if something's too perfect, I will purposely like spit on it or throw paint or do some whacked out thing to mess it up.
To bring in like a tactile element.
You know, unless it gets too much. I was at a convention one time and I was painting Yoda, and I had this like really photorealistic Yoda was going out, and I turned around and I threw water over my back, and I watched my manager's face just go, because the painting was already sold.
Oh no!
Like, and it just wiped out the entire face, and it was just completely gone. You could see the person that was going to buy it was standing there going,
What happened?
and I just started laughing. I was like, well, all right, cool. Let's go back into that maybe a little bit. But yeah, it's a mistake of it. That was my very long-winded. You're like, you could have answered that in like a sentence. What the fuck is
No,
wrong
we
with you?
love a story. Stories are good. They illustrate things. And I think that's sort of what you're saying, right? The physicality of it, again, plays back to the characters that you're drawn to who are themselves imperfect.
Absolutely. Wow, it's so much better.
She makes it so much easier.
I know, it's, wow, I'm just going to have you talk for me. If that is okay, I'll move my mouth still.
Everyone needs an editor. Not that often. How does that play into your work, Tom, and your painting?
Well, I think, you know, I've always, you know, when you're working with a sculpture, there's a sort of a point of, or a pretty distinct point of definition there. So I think I always felt the challenge to kind of, you know, make sure that the painting investment had something else to say and to contribute to the piece. And I think that when I've certainly had a lot of ability here at Sideshow in serving in the capacity I do, to work with the sculpture pool and to develop elements of the sculpture that I know will react with the, you know, paint, whether I'm doing it or the, you know, the incredible team that we've assembled over the years, you know, is going to handle stuff. But if I'm approaching it, I'm bringing my bag of tricks, which is, you know, pretty well known for being somewhat sloppy and messy or whatnot, because it's a little bit more from like my film background where we were having to break up surfaces a lot of times and whatnot, and you know, you weren't really painting to definition. You were painting to get you know, so that the film could pick up the piece, and you needed things broken up in surface with patterning and other things. So there's a lot of abstraction that I'll put into stuff, and a lot of things that I've come to realize are two-dimensional, high contrast kind of strategies that I couldn't do to save my life on a 2D canvas, but I can pull off on a 3D one because I can actually see how it maps. And I think that that's what I need. I need to be able to, sort of look at a, at a construction blank, so that the play of light, which I've come to learn better, but just don't have locked in my memory the way that I can conceive it there. So with that, then I moved to things that were more tricks, using alcohol and water to put a glaze of color on something and just freckle it with alcohol, which then burns little fish eyes into it and whatnot, and gives you a kind of a neat way to break up the surface very quickly and efficiently. But it also creates a kind of an alchemy that you're kind of controlling. And so we were talking earlier about workspaces and whatnot, and the workspaces here in the Sideshow studios are very much like surgical bays, and I mean the folks that are painting are extracting some masterful work. But and I always think it's funny because I go and I think, well, I look at mine, and from the desk down, it's just nothing but dirty paper towels and broken paintbrushes, and
chaos,
and muddy bottles of water on the table, and sponges and everything else. And I think I have the convenience of that because I'm generally only painting one, and I don't have to paint to run the lines so much to sort of create a strategy that can be replicated.
Are you right or left-handed?
I'm definitely right. I play with the left a lot, but because it's not 2D, my left hand is generally working with my right in concert of moving the piece.
Okay.
So I'm kind of if I'm working a wet on wet tactic or whatnot, it'll be this is the application and this is kind of the movement control.
Oh, that's
so like when you're watching it run, that gravity's going up and down.
Yeah.
I know this piece is going to stand this way, but when I'm painting it, I'm holding it this way. So I have to keep kind of corralling the paint in a certain direction.
That boggles my mind because I'm just sitting here going, just like looking at for a highlight, if you're putting it, are you painting in a highlight or are you letting it the natural highlight? What you do is it's beyond my comprehension.
Put you two on stage together, I think.
Dude,
that would be super cool.
You can paint 3D stuff, and I'll
3D.
make a mess of a 2D canvas.
We're both gonna be like.
Until we can do that, though, I have to ask, what advice would you guys give to aspiring artists, and particularly painters who are looking at 2D and 3D and trying, some different realms? Someone that's up and coming. What tips would you give them aside from having a wife or partner to keep you on stage?
For me, I would say there's a couple of things. One, use the fear, because you always have fear. Always have the fear.
Fear of failure.
Fear of failing. Maybe the fear of if I put this color down, or any of those. Use it. Use that energy because, if you don't use it, it then consumes you and it stops you. So, use it.
So put your head down, bulldoze through,
and get through
mistakes.
Yeah, make mistakes. Mistakes are the only way you learn. I mean, if you've succeeded at everything, you only get to this level here. And that's it. You can't go beyond that. The ceiling is built for you.
So you feel like you're both still learning?
Oh my God.
That's
every day.
That's an absolute.
Yeah.
And I think you touched on the aspect of don't be afraid to make mistakes. And I think that's the thing that I noted. And whenever I got a chance to mentor folks, it was always the notion of if you're on the line and you have to paint for a deadline, okay, then you do have to be pretty precious about what you're doing. But if you're learning, which is kind of the crux of the question, then you have free license at that point. And I think in the same way that someone in a sports analogy is going to do a ton of calisthenics and a ton of drills or whatnot to be ready for the game. So it's like embrace the practice.
Yeah.
Because especially whether on whichever canvas you're working, 2D or 3D mediums. The tactics and such are going to be the same, but your mastery of them is only going to come through endless, practice and repetition. And that's the only way that you're going to make breakthroughs. And I think the other one that I think is really important and served me well at a point where I kind of started to get to a point where I thought, okay, I've got this down, and I don't, I'm not going to learn anything from anybody else. And in your youth, you kind of let yourself get deluded this way. And then you realize you don't know a goddamn thing. Or the wealth of what's out there is just true. Beyond your, you could take 3 lifetimes to try and get it. But once you open up to that and you start seeing what other people are doing and you realize you're not copying them, you're sort of trading in the currency of artistic, points of view and approaches. And I think that fact that you can get in, whether you're in a bar, or you're in a studio, or you're doing a jam with someone, you kind of see what they're doing and you kind of share. And I think that that's the way that the studios and the masters, the Renaissance kind of worked in the same way. It was like, look, they're doing this. This is projecting to 20 other people who are projecting it to 200 beyond that. And I think that that's this kind of wonderful pay it forward process that I always appreciate when I get a chance to mentor. Is everything I've gotten to in my own expertise is the process of taking and others who have paid it forward to me. I feel that that's something that I owe to pass on, and I think that that's the mentality that you can take from the beginning, and I think you'll avoid kind of the pitfalls that ego tries to sort of trap you in.
Yeah, ego's a bitch, man.
Screw that.
But it's good in some instances.
No,
like if
look,
you're stubbornly
you have to have
gonna
an
learn
ego,
to paint with your left hand in addition
enough to be able to
right.
take the risk and go, I can do this. But you can't let it be the thing that, again, puts that cap on, because you're like, I'm perfect. Yeah, I hate all my own art. I fucking hate it, every bit of it. Oh yeah, it's not a piece of mine that I like.
Why?
Because I always can do better. I mean, I walk away from it's before my wife. I used to set I used to do a painting. I'll set my beer on it, and I'm like, yeah, it's done. Whatever. And
I like the beer theme throughout your entire.
I'm just saying, how do you paint? I don't know. Hold on, I can't even do the rest of this without finishing my beer.
That's how I feel about chocolate.
So yeah, I mean, that's it. Yeah, I don't like anything I do.
Awesome. Well, thank you both
you
so
bet.
much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Really incredible chance to interview you guys and share your thoughts with our audience. I know fans can go to courtofthedead.com, and Tom, they can also find you on Facebook. Rob, where can folks go to learn more about you and your artwork?
The corner of Hollywood and Highland. I'll be painting tomorrow.
I have other stories about that
Where That's a different interview.
Completely different. The shaved animals in the background, pay no attention to them. No, it's funny because I never remember my social media. I'm at Pryor 2 Art at Instagram, so PRIOR #2 Art at Instagram. I think I'm Rob Pryor Official on Facebook, I think. Yeah, this is accurate.
Well, if you reach out and somebody answers,
yeah, my website is robpryor.com. You can see everything there. I do all my own Instagram stuff. A lot of times with some of the other ones I don't, just because I don't have the time to do it, because I'm busy doing 400 billion paintings. But that's not even an exaggerated number.
I'm trying to do the math.
That's
100 per millisecond. Okay,
done. But yeah, you can find me there. It also tells like my website, I believe, has all my appearances. I have actually yet to go to my own website. I'm just saying. I haven't been there
So many
yet.
similarities here.
So yeah, but it tells where my appearance is going to be. Obviously,
show in May, coming up at the Chinese Theater.
January.
January.
Okay.
Cool.
January 30th. I can't believe I just pulled that number out.
Right around the corner. Excellent.
So yeah.
All right. Thank you both
Of course.
so much.
And thank you, Rob. This is amazing. What a day.
Oh man, brother, it's been awesome.
Thank you for joining us. Rise, conquer, rule, everybody. Welcome back. Isn't Rob amazing? What an incredible piece. We are so grateful to him and just so amazed that Court of the Dead inspired him and his incredible abilities to make that fantastic Malavestros painting. So, leaving Malavestros behind, let's get back to the world of the factions. The Aspects of Death's quarter scale mask set is shipping right now. They are incredible. You can check them out online in detail at side.show/aspectsofdeath. But these little 9-inch figures are made of polystone. Each of them represent the 3 different factions. Really, it's something that Death would, wear if he went for a meeting with his faction leader to kind of show some allegiance and support. We've got Transcending Vision here with Spirit, Chorus of Souls with Flesh, and Echo of 5 Nails with Bone. They're all beautiful, unique, a little bit different. There's 3 pieces to each. They each have their own custom stand with a little nod to the faction in the elements. They each have, you know what, I am not going to attempt to take that one apart. It's one of the more fragile ones. They each have a separate hood for display purposes. And then the mask itself keys onto the quarter scale premium format Death figure. So you can actually, it's so cool, you can actually swap these out for the masks that your Death figure is wearing, which is so cool. So it's an accessory set, but then it also kind of works on its own. Which I like because if you are like me and running short on space for your collectibles, but you happen to have some room on your desk, these are a great item to go into a smaller space. I have a special guest here with me today to talk about the Death masks. Welcome, Chie Izuma. Thank you for joining us. Chie is from the Sideshow paint department. Amazing and talented painter, and she painted the quarter scale Death masks.
Yes.
So thank you for joining me. I'm super excited to learn more about your process and what went into each of these. Let's talk about Flesh first, this guy right here. Can you tell me some of the colors you use to achieve this effect? It's so intricate.
Yeah, so I usually use just acrylic paints, like especially my favorite paints are cell vinyl.
A cell vinyl?
Yeah, which, for like more like, they used to use, people use it for like people who paint the cartoon cell.
Yeah, oh wow, cool.
Because of what the reason I use that, because it dries fast and it comes out really opaque and nice. But unfortunately, they're not making the paints for this point, but...
Also, it's a line that discontinued?
Yeah.
Oh God, so do you guys have like a horde squirreled away?
Yeah, I still have some paints left, so which is nice. But yeah, this yeah, I like this.
So these like reds and oranges.
Yeah, I use like a
metallic?
brown. Like I airbrushed I based them out with a brown color for just the leather, and I start using like a sponge.
So when you say base them out, does that mean you just do all over one color,
yes,
kind of an even
yeah,
coat?
just that. Yeah, especially these foot parts. I just base them out with the one color, with the brown. And the next, I use like a little lighter brown, like a more like ochre-ish. Like I actually use a little bit brighter color than flat.
The base coat.
Because you won't see it, but once you put some another shadows there with another paint, they're actually able to blend it in to be nice and
smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what was the texture you were going for in here? Is it like
I was using for the leather,
oh,
but it's more like a used leather. So I kind of made it like almost like the place that people touch most. It make it a little more darker
because the oils from the hands.
Yeah,
that's so cool. You can see it right along the seams there. It looks like
Yeah, it kind of feels like a used leather. It's not like a brand new kind of.
And it looks like there's some reds in here too.
Yeah, it has a reds in there. So it's you won't really see that detail. You kind of looking at it far away, but if you kind of take a close, it's not just the one flat color. It's you see all these details about.
It's so dynamic.
Yeah.
And you had some metallics in here too, and these like little jewels here in the bottom.
And I made it little wash, which make it. It's not like new, it's still like a rusted.
Have that sort of worn feel. Yes. That's so cool. I forgot to mention, if you have any questions for Chie, we'll do a little live Q&A at the end, so feel free to submit your questions now as we sort of dig in here. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about the bone mask, Echo of 5 Nails. I'm really curious to hear about the paint palette you used for this one, because it's, at first glance, it seems very like gray, but as you look closer, I mean, it's really very colorful. There's kind of a lot going on in here.
Yeah.
What were some of the paint colors you used?
Especially for the bone parts, I just didn't want to make it just like a basic gray with just a wash. And if you look at it, look closely, this have an awesome detail of sculpting details on this whole part. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna run the little wash and wipe it. So make sure this whole detail come to life. Just because if you just base them out, you pretty much lose all the details. So I just kind of did some little wash and even
Can you
this.
explain to me what a wash is exactly?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. Okay, the wash is like a super. I use like almost like an ink paint, so it's especially it's
Thinner?
good to thin,
thinner?
and then like lots of translucent, like so you won't kill the base colors, but you still kind of.
It goes on top, but
Top
then
of
it
it.
catches in like the
Yeah.
crevices.
Yeah, and they just if you want to leave
Ah.
it, that's fine, but you could wipe it too, so you could use it like a both way.
It's so beautiful. So are there purples and blues in here as
Yes.
well? I love
And
that.
especially this
It's got
part,
so much
like
depth.
everything after I did the shadow highlights and everything, I put some like a iridescent paints, dry brush on the high points. So it depends on the way you look at it. You see like almost like metallic
Yeah, I can
looks.
see
Like
the
you see that like
shine.
whenever lights hit this angle, you see like almost like a metallic feel. But if you look at it from front, it's kind of
More matte.
yeah.
It's gorgeous.
So
What was some of the reference you pulled for this piece?
oh.
Do you pull reference for your pieces? I guess I should
Yeah,
start
I
there.
did, and then also my manager, the project manager pulled some reference for me, and so I just grabbed some like rusted metals, and it's just like it was reference comes from a whole bunch of different random places. So I will talk about it for another one, but yeah.
Yeah, let's switch over to Spirit actually, because this is probably the most ethereal of the three.
Yeah.
Flesh has got kind of like clay and leather. This is like bone and fabric. But what the heck is this one?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I had a fun working on this piece.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, because it's funny too. When I was looking at some reference of this, I'm like, what I could use. I end up kind of grabbing like a picture of the blue cheese.
like a moldy cheese.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because it has
Oh
like
my
almost
God.
like a good, like like really off. It's not patterns, but it have a random like on the marble too. Like have a like okay, I want to try to make this looks like a marble / blue cheese.
That's amazing.
So I'm trying to like
I
I
love
grab
it.
a couple like a reference picture of the blue cheese and okay, how I could approach this and so.
That's so
And
cool.
I had a
Because it
fun.
still has like organic,
Yeah, well, it's not like
That's so
really
awesome.
organic.
There's lots of like greens in there and grays.
Yeah, and I use like a 2 different color for this like a detail. So make sure it's not just the one color of that. Those like details.
Is it hard to paint? Like these little veins on here seem really
Yeah.
finicky and difficult.
I
Is that
actually what I did was after I based them out with the one like a off white colors, and I use like almost like alcohol wash.
Oh,
So first I
just to
just
thin
drip.
it out?
No, it's so I made the first. I'm just kind of make the thing like ink paints, right? And just drop it on this piece, and then after before the paint dries, I just put some like a little alcohol in my brush and it dab it in the middle of the almost like a paint puddle. So you just automatically kind of break the whole paints everywhere. So that's kind of made it like it kind of happens naturally and then looks very organic too. So I'm not like forcing to make the patterns.
That's fascinating. I bet it's really pretty process to like.
Yeah, and
kinda
it's
see, too.
fun. I'm just keep doing it and having like a rare of the paints and it kind of paints build up and end up being the patterns.
Can you tell me a little bit about sort of your process overall? It sounds like you start with one base coat and like an acrylic for everything.
Yeah.
And then you do washes.
And dry like sometimes I do like a dry brush first and like a washes too. Like it's just pretty much like a lots of back and forth. Like I mean everybody have a different way to paint, but I'm gonna kind of find what works for me. So it's like it's always good to have like a layer of the paints, build up the paints on that. Yeah. So.
It's beautiful. I mean, the result is amazing.
It's always fun to work on these pieces because I have more freedom and I could just try to figure out and I can test them out. Okay, what is work for this project? I mean, every project is different, but
It didn't have a set style. I mean, these were kind of brand new designs, and so you really got to kind of
play
create
around.
something.
Yeah, so it's
it.
always fun to work on.
What are some of the tools that you work with? So you've mentioned airbrushes.
Yeah, and there of course brushes and sometimes I use a makeup sponge
Oh, cool.
But
Like
I
the really
kinda-
fine,
Yeah,
finely
but I
porcelain.
kind of break it up and just kind of pick some corners and and I use that for. So I use like a lot of sponge. I use a lot of sponge technique on this too, on the leather, and even like some of these parts on the bones. But yeah, so
It
that's
really
what,
does look like fabric too. I mean, it's incredible.
Fabric, yeah. And then even like these, like it's not even, like it's kind of spotty. That's because I use like a sponge technique on those.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because if I just gonna use just the airbrush and dry brush, it won't be that spotty. Because like that's the time sponge comes to make it uneven.
Oh, so to add some like asymmetry.
To break it up,
and,
yeah.
Like, is that better for like organic materials?
Yes,
I kind of
definitely,
feel. Kind of.
And something more like it does not gonna look brand new too. Like, so yeah.
Something more ancient.
So it comes handy.
What was some of the most challenging aspects of painting these?
It's like a challenging part was like a color, mixing colors and stuff. What colors work with? Because like example, like this piece, like I do not want to make this foot just a black because it should have some little color. So if you look across, this is actually more like a gray, blue, foot. But at the same time, make sure like I gotta pick that. Because I do not want to make the one like headset because it's gonna be similar to this another one. So I gotta find like a right color to match, to this foot. But there's just mixing colors and like
So
what
do you
is
unify
good.
them as like a set, but also distinguish each one?
Yeah.
That's very cool. I mean, you did a great job. It really, like I said, at first glance, and then you look in and you start seeing all these colors come out. It really is very bright and colorful little pieces.
Because
A lot of
even like
dimension.
just looking at it from the beginning to end, sometimes you can recognize, okay, this is the color I started, but that's how it comes out because there's so many layers of the steps and all this comes out. So I can't even. I mean, I kind of figure it out like, okay, that's I kind of want to achieve, but sometimes you'll be surprised. What? That's the color I picked first, but that's how it ended up being. Like,
Oh, so you didn't even know sometimes
sometimes
how
I'm
something's
having a
gonna
little
turn
happy
out.
accident. It's kind of fun and cool.
That's super cool. Do you have a favorite one?
I'm still gonna go with this one.
With Spirit? Yeah, it is
was
really
kind of
gorgeous.
fun and it's challenging too, like because I'm trying to figure out how I could make this a whole, like a not texture, but the patterns on that foot. So
It's so unique. I mean, it really feels very otherworldly. Like,
so
that's super cool.
I had a fun with that one. So
Well, you can tell. Amazing. Can you tell me a little bit about the bases? I mean, they're so cool. I was saying, while we were sort of waiting for the segment to start, they really feel like a copper.
It looks
that's
like
been,
a real
outside in a park, weathering. Like, it's really amazing, that effect. How did you achieve that effect?
This one's like it looks. I know it sounds kind of weird. It looks very complicated, but actually it's very more like a simple approach. Just have pick some like a bronze color, do the little wash of the turquoise, and then of course that's the time I use like a super thin wash, like a thin paint, and then put it on everywhere. Just wipe it with a paper towel, any rugs, not clean the whole thing, just very uneven, just very loose, and just do some little dry brush on the high points. Like example, people tends to handle the piece, that's the part tends to get brighter metal.
Yeah.
So I kind of try to duplicate that with a different metal color.
Give that sense of it being touched throughout the edges.
Yeah, I just don't want to make it. It would be weird to have it just like I have a patina's on, but looks metal is a new, looks. So.
Well, we're getting some questions and some compliments. People are saying you did an outstanding job. And they're
thank you.
admiring your handiwork. How long did it take you to paint these?
Well,
did one take longer than the others, or?
Actually, it's surprisingly that this middle one it took me most because more like a challenging. I couldn't just get a right color on this. So I just kind of keep back and forth. Okay, this this purple will work with this color, the hook colors and stuff. So I just kind of went back and forth for a couple times, but usually, like, I don't know how much detail I should do, but usually I gotta paint 2 sets.
That's right.
Yeah, so one for China and one for keep it for us, so we could compare from that.
Which is, I think, underappreciated and one of the most amazing things that our paint department does. They paint 2 exact, and when I say exact, I mean like you literally could not go in and tell the difference between the 2 versions of each prototype. One that we keep here, obviously, to solicit with and to have on display, and one that goes to China as a paint master. And it's amazing, especially when you consider like what you're talking about, some of the asymmetry, and like to be able to replicate that blows my mind. I mean, I don't know how you guys do that, really. It's like magic. You're wizards down there.
But yeah, so since I had to paint the two sets at the same time, I mean, most of the time, they give, it takes like maybe less than, this one was actually go a little bit faster, probably 3 weeks.
3 weeks? Wow, that's incredible.
I mean, I'm not sure, I don't, I don't track on how many days exact, but it's about like 3 to 4 weeks. Because the usual project, it takes like 4 weeks to complete. But since this is more small, scale, but the more details, but there's not that many parts to worry about, so it goes a little bit faster.
Oh yeah, there's definitely different.
It's not like all this
piece amounts.
Pieces. Yeah.
Here's an interesting question about how your methods. Do you test paint digitally, or do you just test it on the piece, and do you toss out the object if it doesn't work? Like, what's your trial and error process?
Sometimes if I wanna, I'm not really sure, like 100%. I usually grab some another like extra piece. I will ask them like extra piece so I could test them out on that first. And if it seems like it works, then I'm gonna jump on the actual project. But I don't do any digital painting or anything. I should probably learn by now, but
well, I mean, this is pretty amazing. You need
yeah.
to move outside the realm of
I should do.
what
I'm
you've got.
I'm gonna try.
That leads nicely into another question. How did you get into painting?
Well, even when I was a little kid, like I always loved creating stuff. So it's always painting, and like I was doing ceramics and stuff for like almost like ceramics and printmaking and stuff for like 10 ceramic for 10 years. But I always liked create. So I was painting, but somehow I didn't even know this careers exist. I seen this stuff before, but what? Yeah.
So you just kind of came upon.
Yeah, I just.
You were a Gentle Giant before
Yeah.
Sideshow, right?
Yeah.
And is that where you first got into like
Yes.
painting prototypes? And
So I kind of like at first I was painting for somebody, for like some kind of show or TV show or something. But the girls who was helping me out, I was working with her, and she was doing freelance job for this. That was a toy, prototyping toy. So when I went to her studio, she was, wow, this is really cool. And at that time, I wasn't in this art student. I went to the state university and being the art major. But at that point, like, I don't know how to build a career with just being art major. I don't know what I can do. I was basically lost. I mean, I know I love to do, I know what I like to do, but
how do you make money?
Yeah, how I could go from there, because I'm getting, I'm about to graduate the university, like, but I don't know what to do. And at that time I met this girl, and she was doing this, and I was able to get, get paid and able to live. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Hey, can I do this? I'm like, and that was right before Comic-Con time too. So like, oh, it's perfect. Hey, they're looking for some freelancing person. Like, hey, you wanna do it? And I didn't have any experience of painting 3D. I was painting on a canvas and doing printmaking and stuff, but I never, that point, like I hold the airbrush, but it's more like making stencils. It's not like any detail or airbrush work or anything. So I was start working at the the other company as an internship for a long time. So that point, like, I was like, humble enough to like, okay, this is awesome because I'm able to get paid and learn at the same time.
That's wonderful.
But so basically, I was doing the same thing all over, like basing them out, basing for somebody for like years. And but
How
that's
you get to Carnegie Hall is practice.
yeah,
right?
and that's
So,
the point. I
cool.
know how to use my airbrush, like basic, that how much, so that kind of opened my door to just get into this whole
That
painting,
is wonderful. We're so lucky to have you, and that's a cool story. I always
Yeah.
find it really fascinating with
because
fine artists to find out how they end up in
because before that,
various
because if I don't
professions.
because I never know this kind of job exists before because
Who would think?
you've seen in a store online, somewhere you could buy a product, but what is that a job for this? That kind of thing. So it was really cool to discover, and I'm really fortunate to have this job because this is awesome. Because to me, even now, I've been doing this for over 10 years, but every day is still learning. Like I'm always learning something new. I'm always practicing, and so it's awesome. I love it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we feel very lucky to have you here at Sideshow. Got a few more questions coming in. This is interesting. Can you talk a little bit about, and I know this is in conjunction with the project manager, so we send a paint master to China, and then we get a production sample back, and I know that the paint department is brought in, and they kind of facilitate critiques with you guys, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of look at the prototype, you look at what came back from China, and you help them.
Yeah, because I usually put the piece next to each other. We're not gonna nitpick every single things because that would be, it's crazy. But if first things I see it, the piece next to each other, and skin color is a little off, or like something major that I will know right away. In the second, that's the kind of things that we will just say, adjust the shadows. But it's really amazing. Even I was looking at this piece, I couldn't believe that was actual from the factory, because I thought that was like a paint prototype I paint, because it was really impressive.
It speaks really well of the pieces that you as the painter were
I was
not
like,
sure is this your handiwork or the replication of that.
Yeah, I'm like, what? This is really amazing, like how they're able to duplicate, but usually we go through that process depends on what it is, but sometimes going on and off for like 3-4 times to make sure we be happy about the product, what they're duplicating for us. But trying to, that's.
That's awesome. Switching gears yet again.
Okay.
For young fine artists out there, for people that are painters, do you have any advice for people that are in school now, like how to learn? Like, obviously you got an internship and kind of went about it that way. Do you recommend that approach? Do you have any other advice, kind of having already become established?
I feel almost like follow your intuition, follow your gut, what you really feel. Like, I know there's so many distractions. Some people say some different things and, just kind of make you like feel like you are lost. But if you already know what you really want to do, it's better to put your 100% effort towards your goal. So make sure, even though it didn't work, that's okay because it happens, but at least you did your best, That's kind of approach I had it when I was like at that point that my school will be over. I'm going to graduate the school, what I'm going to do. So I was doing all my best to, I'm going to try to put myself out there. Because if I don't, I just do, because I do not want to regret in years from now, I should have done this before, you know what I mean? I just want to try everything and end up able to meet this person that, open my door, and I never know this kind of job is out,
You never know until you ask.
Yeah, so.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay.
It's been wonderful to hear more about the process and behind the scenes.
I hope I
and
did it okay.
Your story. You were a wonderful interview guest. Are you kidding? You were
my God,
definitely going to have you back.
No. Okay.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us. We've had a wonderful show. It's been a long show, so thank you for bearing with us. We had another installment of the Underworld games. Bone continues to dominate. Nice job, Victoria. Thank you, Rob Pryor, for your amazing Malavestros painting. We'll be posting some shots of that on social after the show. And thank you, Chie, for joining us to talk about the Aspects of Death quarter-scale mask set, which is now shipping. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely spring, and rise, conquer, rule.